warm welcome to all of you to the Economic Times India Leadership Council as we host here a very, very important conversation. While the conversation is about to begin and we're talking about interacting with the captain of captains. So first up, ladies and gentlemen, the one person who will be spearheading this conversation. So please put your hands together to welcome on stage Mr. Deepak Lamba, the Chief Executive Officer at Worldwide Media, a leading lifestyle and entertainment media company, as well as the President of Time Strategic Solutions Limited, India's largest B2B meeting platform. Thank you so much, Deepak, for joining. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to also invite the man of the hour. Now, there are introductions that the internet can feed us, and then there are introductions that come straight from the heart. And ladies and gentlemen, that truly shows the impact of the individual, the kind of phenomenal individual that he is. Ladies and gentlemen, I am actually talking about the person who was also responsible for me sitting in front of the TV and watching cricket with my father. Ladies and gentlemen, we know him for the fact that he roars with passion, intelligence, and articulation on the field. Let's have a roaring round of applause. Please help me welcome on stage one of the most successful Indian captains and the current president of BCCI, the Bengal Tiger, Mr. Sourav Ganguly.
So, you're known as one of India's most inspirational and legendary leaders of cricket. But before we get into leadership, let me just ask you a little bit about your beginnings when you entered the Indian team, because I think they in some way leave indelible marks on your own self, which then you try and see if you can build on the positives, or if you see any sort of negatives, you try and see if that doesn't happen under your leadership. Like almost all people in this room, I've been a huge fan of Indian cricket and obviously of you. So I remember this, I think as a 17-year-old when you were selected for the tour of Australia. I'm not sure if you played in that. But you made this great comment about your first evening in Perth and a legendary person in Indian cricket and you going out for dinner. And the comment he made to you, and I'll let you talk about it rather than me.
Firstly, thank you for having me here tonight. Such an honor to be here amongst all of you. I still remember the day in Australia. I remember going to a Chinese restaurant, and as the discussions went on, it was only one person talking, because a 17-year-old guy, what will he talk in front of a great player who has seen all his life on TV? I was absolutely starstruck. As the discussion went on, he said, Australia is a tough place to play. There are fast bowlers around and they'll bowl quick. This is not the ideal place for a young player to make debut. I should rather have been on the next series in India. So that was my first introduction to international cricket, when one of the greats felt that I was not good enough at this level. So that's what it is. It was then, and I remember that when in a good way, when I became captain and when I became an established member of the Indian team. When you see a young cricketer coming into a system, because when all of us come into a new system, and I'm sure it's also with the corporate world as well, because this is your dream, this is your ambition, this is your life. You take a little bit of time to settle down, a little bit of time to get used to the situation, used to the surroundings, and I think that's where leadership comes in. It's how quickly you make that young player a part of your system. And I think I learned a lot from those experiences. A lot of my experiences in leadership and captaining national teams has come from personal experiences. I just did what I felt right was for the team. And for me, the most important element was to look after my colleagues. And I think that really helped in my career.
I don't know if it's normally not, I think, said in a positive light, but we talk about power centers, right? Power centers, which I think alludes to different levels of people who had great accomplishments and are fairly senior, being present as one team. And I'm sure when you walked in as a youngster, you would have had to you would have been a part of, or been witness at close quarters, such sort of power centers. So certain anecdotes or experiences and which are both positive or negative, that you thought left again an indelible mark in your mind, so that you picked on those lessons when you finally actually started leading the team yourself.
It was, and deservingly so. And deservingly so. When I started, when I first played as a 17-year-old, it was, 89, 90. Cricket was completely different than what it is now. And I've actually seen the transformation of the game. Yes, there were people with different mindsets. There were, a lot of clusters of players from one part of of the country, and I could see that influence on the team, that hold on the team to get things right, the protectiveness when things were not going the right way, the excitement when things were going the right way, and also with due respect, there were some great players also. But when I became captain, I realized that there was a lot of talent outside that cluster, which was still good enough and did not have the exposure, I would say. Talent is fine, but talent without exposure is nothing. And a lot of times we compare X versus Y versus Z. But if you deeply go into it, you will see that at some stage, somebody had a bit more opportunity than the others. And when I became captain, for me, the most important thing as a leader was to be fair to everyone. Not let get into a system where the belief is that if I belong to X, I belong to Y, I get an opportunity. The only way of selection, the only way of being in that squad or being in that room is ability and nothing else. I think that culture was very, very important, which needed to come. During my tenure as leader, I had some great players under me who actually could have gone on to captain anytime. There's 7 or 8 of them who were good enough to be captain alongside me as well. And I was fortunate enough to lead those great players. So I considered that as not only as an honor, but also as an opportunity to change things, as an opportunity to make it an even platform for everyone, and a platform for everyone to express. I firmly believe in leadership, and for all of you here, is that you select individuals. In our case, it was selection. In the corporate world, it's employment, it's hiring. When you selected individual, you selected him to succeed. And when I started my career, I could see that, yaar, ye to aaya hai, milenge 1-2 matches, nahi banenge, dusra aa jayega. But when I became a captain, for me, your career was as important to me as my career. So I did not have the courage, I did not have the mindset, or I did not have the willingness to take your career lightly. Because I knew what it took to get a Test 100. I knew what it took to get an opportunity in the team. I used to wake up for a period of 6 months, opening the newspaper every morning to see whether my name was there. And it was the same emotional feeling for the other person. So when that person walked into my dressing room, I had to give him that opportunity and the fair chance to perform.
Self-belief. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about self-belief, because I think once you believe that you belong, I think an ordinary individual is capable of extraordinary sort of delivery. So in your case, both as a member of the Indian cricket team, because when you entered, again, we had a bunch of mega stars. And again, when you captained, you were captaining a bunch of fairly senior people as well. So at what time did you sort of get the self-belief that, yes, I belong, and it's not just happenstance that's happening?
See, it happens at different stages. You come in, everyone is nervous, and nervousness is good because you're nervous because you want to succeed. Yeah. You want to let the world know that when you hire me, you don't hire somebody who's not capable. And it's the same thing with us. When we got selected at the national team, millions are watching, your family is watching, your friends are watching. You don't want to come out as somebody not good enough. So nervousness is very important. And the word self-belief, it changes with performances. At times in your career, you have to believe with failures. At times in your career, when you perform well, self-belief comes automatically. Right. And it's a cycle which everyone will go through. Nobody in the world will succeed all the time. And nobody in the world will fail all the time. But the best in the business succeed more than they fail. I played with a great player, but I've not seen a better player than Sachin Tendulkar. I've played all my life with him. I grew up watching Richards, Lloyd, Greenidge, Haynes. So I quietly went up to him and I asked him that, you've been such a great player. You've succeeded for such a long period for the West Indies against the best fast bowling in the world. What do you think will help me become a better player? He said, Sourav, all of us come with talent. My talent may be slightly more than yours, or yours may be slightly more than me. But if you believe you can, you can. And it's a word which all of us must have heard so many times in our career. From our young days in school till the time we compete in the world, we keep hearing this. So every time when I failed, every time when I did not get runs, I used to work so hard, and the only reason is that to get my belief back. Ki I can do it at this level. So what I felt from within was very important to succeed. And I think it is a small word, but it has tremendous weight. Self-belief.
Well said. So Sourav, we'll move on to your captaincy innings, because I think, again, as leaders here, we want to sort of learn a little bit from you. So the first question that I would think is that when you became captain, again, you were leading people who were seniors, so people like Sachin, Kumble, Dravid, and obviously a bunch of youngsters as well. Now, I've always maintained there's a difference between being a captain and being a leader. So yes, you are in this titular position, but in order to actually be really effective, they need to believe, even the seniors need to believe that yes, there is only one captain, one leader on the field. How did you manage to go about doing that, and especially with the people who were more senior in as compared to you?
Both my tenure in a leadership role, when I first became captain of India in the year 2000, and now when I became the BCCI president 3 years ago, it came in a time of shake-up. When I became captain in 2000, a lot of things were going around in Indian cricket, some true, some not true. And now when I became board president, the Supreme Court had completely taken over the board, and we were the first office bearers after that shake-up. I'm a huge believer in life that good things happen after every shake-up. Shake-ups are important. Knowingly, unknowingly, shake-ups are important. It actually brings the best in you. So when you speak about leadership and you speak about leading great players, I still remember my first team meeting in 2000 when I became captain, and it was in Kochi against South Africa. So my wife had come to see me captain the team for the first time. Before that, I was vice captain for 3 or 4 series. So as I left my room, I told her, I have to run a team meeting. And I know who was sitting on those chairs in front of me. Azhar, who was captain. Sachin, who was captain. Kumble, who can be captain. He was vice captain of India. There's Dravid. There's Srinath. There is Lakshman. What do I tell them? Yeah. What do I tell them? So, all those people who actually were directing me how to play, I'm on the other side now. I still remember for half an hour, I made a lot of notes on two sheets of paper, wrote everything, but I only spoke 2 things. I was so nervous. This is the team, kal theek tarake se khelenge, let's go. I still remember my first team meeting, but then obviously I got better. For me, there's a difference between leadership and captaincy. Captaincy is directing a team on the ground. Leadership is building a team. And I firmly believed in that. Knowingly, unknowingly, I created that atmosphere in the team. Ki ye sabka team hai. And I think it worked like magic. So I firmly believe that it's not my way or highway. In leadership, it's about everybody. And the day you start believing that it's my way and highway, it doesn't work. I firmly believe that you hired individuals to tell you what to do, and it's never the other way around. And I implement that in my life. I work with so many people. I may be the president of the board. I may have played 500 games for India, but there is the CEO who knows finance more than me. So it's about getting everyone on the same page in leading teams, and I think that's the best way forward. They feel involved, they feel they are responsible, they start respecting you because they feel that you are important to them, and I saw it work like magic.
Sort of a couple of things that almost is synonymous with your captaincy. One is your uncanny ability to pick, and sometimes you would pick this against, I remember the decision of the BCCI at that time, the wishes of the BCCI. You're known for, spotting youngsters and then backing them up to the hilt. So the fact that India has been fortunate enough to have legends like Yuvraj, Harbhajan, Virendra Sehwag, etc. It's all courtesy to, and they've all public, I'm not saying anything new, I think all of them have publicly, on many occasions, said that they owe their careers to Sourav Ganguly. Did you have a vision when you took over captain of the kind of players you wanted, and therefore these guys fit that bill? What is the communication like with, when you've identified players, there are players that have worked, and then you've identified players, and when you see that they're not delivering, and there is a bench line which is equally capable, how do you sort of communicate that to those people?
In a corporate world, or when you give jobs to someone, you have a CV to fall back to. Yeah. But sports is different. Sports, you don't have a CV. Sports is about just talent in front. It's about the raw talent, and it's about whatever runs you've scored at different levels. Now we picked the national team with performance from our first class tournaments. And the difference between the first class and the national tournaments is massive. Your first part of the question, when you asked that, what made me select an individual? Firstly, it was his runs. Secondly, it was my gut feel. It was my gut feel. I believe that if you have given me the responsibility to lead, instead of thinking whether it's right or wrong all the time, it's about doing what you feel is right. But at the end of the day, you are the captain, you are the leader. You should be in a position that when you go to bed in the night and put your head on the pillow, you should be able to tell yourself that I did what was best for the team. All of us make mistakes in life. As long as your intention and your way of doing things is honest, you should be happy about yourself. So I always believed that when you bring in a young player, you don't keep him in the dressing room, because you don't produce players sitting in the dressing room. You need to expose them. So you throw people at the deep end, and then you find whether they are good enough or not. When you pick them, you picked them to succeed.
What about part B?
See, this will happen in a professional world. Ek din up, you go to the ground and see at Eden Gardens 100,000 people watching. Though outside edge lage, 3 days later you're playing a Ranji Trophy game where there is 1 man and 2 dogs watching. So that's the drop. So that's the drop. So that's the drop you have. So you have to find a way to get used to this and play well. There is no option. There is no other option.
I think IPL, apart from the money bags, the opportunity that it's giving youngsters to compete with fast bowlers of international caliber at the highest level, and therefore very quickly that self-belief which would otherwise only come in once you made your debut internationally could today come in much, much early. But so from your perspective, you've been in leadership roles before, but the organization is complete. It's much larger, much more complex, etc. So your experience on that?
I have seen the side from a young player who played with 400 rupees daily allowance, and now you see the best player in the team make 150 crores a year. So that change I've seen that complete change as a player and now as a president of the board. This game is run by the fans. This game is run by the people of this country. And the IPL generates more revenue, more eyeballs than the English Premier League. So that's where the sport has gone. So it's not hard to administer Indian cricket because the fans make it easy. So my 3 years experience has been tremendous. A lot easier than when I batted for India, because there I had one chance. यहाँ पे गलती हो गया तो कल कर लेंगे. वहाँ पे मगरा का एज लगा तो कल नहीं कर सकते. चलो. So this is a lot easier, but it makes me feel happy that the sport I loved and the sport I started in 86, 87 with nothing has become so strong.
Sort of one was, rules obviously need constant changing within the team in order to be able to have the best team. But a change in role always is accompanied by discomfort. So whether it's the decision in your case of, say, Dravid keeping, Sehwag wanting to get Sehwag to open at the top of the innings. For an individual whose career is at stake.
This is a very, very pertinent thing you've picked up, Deepak. And I say to all of you, a lot of you are elderly people who are very successful in your world, in your corporate world. But there are youngsters who will come in. And all of us get moved around out of our comfort zone. And with my experience, I have seen you will get the best out of you if you start accepting to get out of your comfort zone. Now, Dravid, if you look at Dravid's period of those 4 years when he batted as a keeper, he was at his best in one-day cricket. So I firmly believe that when your boss, when your leader, when your captain asks you to do something else, which something you've never done in your life, it's an opportunity to succeed. It's an opportunity which will probably make you see a completely different side of yours. So all those young entrepreneurs and individuals who want to succeed in life, when you get something different, don't back out of it, because it could just open up a new world for you. And it has done for so many. The best in the business have performed because they've been pushed out of what they've done all the time in your life. I firmly believe in sport, and I'm sure it's in life as well. If you keep playing the same way, you will keep getting the same results. And I think that's so pertinent, and I've learned it over my playing career. And if you notice, and I don't speak for myself, Deepak, I've got pushed into various roles after I finished playing. And my experiences as a cricketer has actually got me through those roles, because I felt that ye bhi ho sakta hai. Isko bhi karte hain. And I think it's the same for everyone. When you're pushed, you're shaken, you're asked to do something different, you will get the best out of you.
Thank you so much, Sourav. We'll now open this up to people from the audience. Go ahead, sir.
Sourav, hi. It's really a pleasure to be here. I think I made the right decision to fly all the way from Bangalore for this session. My personal views, with the exception of Kapil Dev, you as a captain really created a team which played to win and not play for not to lose the game. And how did this culture you create? Are you like an individual this way, or the situation made it? But your team was every match they always played to win.
I think the passion to win, that was the reason. I'm a very laid-back person off the field. What you saw on the field, the person off the field is completely different. So I think it was pressure also to hold on to my place. Ki nahi jeeta to koi aur aa jayega, because there's so much of talent. So I had to deliver. So from that maybe the intensity came. From that maybe the determination came ki karna hi padega yaar. When you don't have any choice other than winning, you have to win. And I think MS Dhoni also took it to a new level.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
I think he was a fabulous captain.
You were the start.
Yeah.
You created the culture.
Yeah, maybe, but this will continue in Indian cricket because it's a different generation. From your perspective, you see the world, the Indian world from when you were young and now has changed so much. And it has reflected in the mindset of youth. Sure. It has reflected the way the youth thinks. They're more exposed. They know the world more better. Everything is at the fingertips. So it's a change in the world and you have to accept it.
Thanks.
One last question. Where is next Sourav heading to from BCCI?
I don't know yet. Let me finish this.
Is it ICC?
I don't know. So, but we'll remain with cricket in whatever way. And that's what it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, we officially call it a wrap. Can we have the loudest round of applause? Let's thank Sourav. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thank you, Deepak.
I think for me, the one big takeaway was hire people to succeed. It left a credible mark for me, wherein hiring is part and parcel of the business which any bank runs, and therefore building that into your own kind of culture and ethos makes all the difference. And you therefore set people up to succeed right up front. So I think for me, that was the one big takeaway.
Yeah, I would in fact talk about two, if that's okay. The first one is the power of the collective versus the power of the individual. And the second is the play to win, right? Hire people who can actually work with you to really win. So those are the two that I'll call out.